Continuing on with Aldo Leopold's A Sand County Almanac, the Alder Fork, a fishing idol. We found the main stream so low that the teeter snipe pattern about it in what last year were trout riffles, and so warm that we could duck in its deepest pool without a shout. Even after our cooling swim, waders felt like hot tar paper in the sun. The evening's fishing proved as disappointing as its auguries. We asked the stream for trout, and it gave us a chub. That night we sat under a mosquito smudge and debated the morrow's plan. 200 miles of hot, dusty road we had come, and to feel the impetuous tug of a disillusioned brook or rainbow, there were no trout. But this, we now remembered, was a stream of parts. High up near the headwaters, we had once seen a fork, narrow, deep, and fed by cold springs that gurgled out under its close-hemmed walls of alder. What would a self-respecting trout do in such weather? Just what we did. Go up. In the fresh of the morning, when 100 whitethroats had forgotten it would ever again be anything but sweet and cool, I climbed down the dewy bank and stepped into the alder fork. A trout was rising just upstream. I paid out some line, wishing it would always stay thus soft and dry, and measuring the distance with a false cast or two, laid down a spent gnat exactly a foot above the last swirl. Forgotten now were the hot miles, the mosquitoes, the ignominious chub. He thought it with one great gulp. He took it with one great gulp, and shortly I could hear him kicking in the bed of water alder leaves at the bottom of the creel. Another, albeit larger fish, had meanwhile risen in the next pool, which lay at the very head of navigation, for at its upper end the alders closed in solid phalanx. One bush with its brown stem, laved in the middle current, shook with a perpetual silent laughter, as if to mock any fly that gods or men might cast 1 inch beyond its outermost leaf. For the duration of a cigarette, I sit on a rock midstream and watch my trout rise under his guardian bush, while my rod and line hang dry on the alders of the sunny bank. Then, for prudence sake, a little longer. That pool is too smooth up there. A breeze is stirring and may shortly ruffle it for an instant, and thus make more deadly that perfect cast I shall shortly lay upon its bosom. There will come a puff strong enough to shake a brown miller off the laughing alder and cast it upon a pool. Ready now. Coil up the dry line and stand midstream, rod in instant readiness. It's coming. A little premonitory shiver in that aspen on the hill lets me get out half a cast and swish it gently back and forth, ready for the main puff to hit the pool. Now no more than a half line, mind you. The sun is high now, and any flicking shadow overhead would forewarn my hunker of his impending fate. Now, the last 3 yards shoot out. The fly falls gracefully at the feet of the laughing alder. He has it. I set hard to hold him out of a jungle beyond. He rushes downstream in a few minutes. He, too, is kicking in the creel. I sit in happy meditation on my rock, pondering, while my line dries again, upon the ways of trout and men. How like fish we are. ready, nay, eager to seize upon whatever new thing some wind or circumstance shakes down upon the river of time. And how we rue our haste, finding the gliding morsel to contain a hook. Even so, I think there is some virtue in eagerness, whether its object prove true or false. How utterly dull would be a whole prudent man or trout or world. Did I say a while ago that I wanted for prudence sake? That was not so. The only prudence in fishermen is that designed to set the stage for taking yet another, and perhaps a longer, chance. Time to be at it now. They will soon stop rising. I wade waist deep to head of navigation, poke my head insolently into the shaking Alder, and look within. Jungle is right. A coal-black hole above, so canopied in greenness, you could not wave a fern, much less a rod, above its rushing depth. And there, almost rubbing his ribs against the dark bank, a great trout rolls lazily over as he sucks down a passing bug. Not a chance to stalk him, even with the lowly worm, but 20 yards above I see bright sunshine on the water, another opening. Fish to drive fly downstream? It cannot, but it must be done. I retreat and climb the bank, neck deep in a jewelweed and nettles. I detour through the alder thicket to the opening above, with cat-like care not to roil his Majesty's bath. I step in and stand stock still for 5 minutes to let things calm down. The while I strip out, oil, dry, and coil upon my left hand 30 feet of line. I am that far above the portal to the jungle. Now for the long chance. I blow upon my fly to give it one last puff, one last fluff, lay it on the stream at my feet, and quickly pay out coil after coil. Then, just as the line straightens out, the fly is sucked into the jungle. I walk quickly downstream, straining my eyes into the dark vault to follow its fortunes. A fleeting glimpse or two, as it passes a speck of sunlight, shows it still rides clear. It rounds the bends. In no time, long before the roil of my walking has betrayed the ruse, it reaches the black pool. I hear rather than see the rush of the great fish. I set hard, and the battle is on. No prudent man would risk $1 worth of fly, a leader pulling a trout upstream through the giant toothbrush of alder streams comprising the bend of that creek. But as I said, no prudent man is a fisherman. By and by, with much cautious unraveling, I got him up into open water and finally aboard the creel. I shall now confess to you that none of those 3 trout had to be beheaded or folded double or fit their casket. What was big was not the trout, but the chance. What was full was not my creel, but my memory. Like the whitethroats, I had forgotten it would ever again be aught but morning on the fork.